I find it very odd that my Republican colleagues made the choice to hold a second hearing on telework and concerns over our agency's productivity while teleworking when this has been one of the least productive sessions of Congress. Even from an environmental perspective, a study published in a journal Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences found that switching from working on-site to working from home full-time may reduce a person's carbon footprint by more than 50%. Hybrid schedules where people work remotely for 2 to 4 days a week could also cut emissions by 11 to 29%, according to the study. I'd like to see this committee stop blaming convenient scapegoats for our problems and instead focus on keeping the government funded and operating. Votes on appropriation bills have been pulled at the last second. We were without a speaker for weeks, and we barely avoided a shutdown, thanks primarily to Democrats. The dysfunction is unprecedented. Regardless, the claims against telework are unfounded and directly contradict what we've seen in our federal workforce. In the last hearing, we heard how easily NASA, the National Space Foundation, Nuclear Regulatory Commission, and the Department of Homeland Security were able to maintain operations by transitioning to telework during the pandemic and reduce costs, saving the government billions of dollars of taxpayers' money. We further heard how telework expanded work opportunities for military spouses, people with disabilities, and working parents and caregivers. So to all of our panelists at this particular hearing, have you seen similar benefits of telework in your respective agencies? This is for any.
For USAID, one key benefit of telework, both before and after the pandemic, is that we work across time zones. So it really facilitates our ability to connect with one another across 80 countries.
Thank you. Has anyone else seen benefits? Please, Mr. Libet.
And just to give a very local example with my own office of just over 200 HR professionals, this team, thanks to telework and increased workplace flexibilities, has decreased the time that it takes to hire by 22% just over the last 12 months alone, and almost at times up to almost cutting it in half. So that's just an example of the extraordinary efficiencies we can gain with the use of telework and workplace flexibilities.
So thank you.
Thank you for the question. The other obvious impact from a hiring and retention perspective is we get broad and diverse applicant pools, and greater selection among applicants ultimately results in the best possible selection for the positions we're trying to fill.
Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman. In addition to what my colleagues mentioned, I would also add that we've seen savings in transit costs, and we've also gained great confidence in our continuity of operations plans and the readiness of our workforce to telework en masse.
Thank you each so much for sharing. This summer, Social Security Administration reached an agreement with the largest federal labor union, the American Federation of Government Employees, to preserve telework eligibility through 2029. The union was pushing for teleworking opportunities to improve work conditions for their members, which would in turn result in better customer service for Social Security beneficiaries. Mr. McNeely, what improvements have you seen at Social Security Administration due to telework? Well, we already said that, but looking forward, what kind of policies and guidelines in Social Security Administration planning for remote workers?
Thank you for the question, and we are, of course, very pleased with our ability to work effectively with our unions to preserve telework as a tool in the workplace. What I will tell you is that our collective bargaining agreement actually was largely unchanged. I think it was the utilization of that current collective bargaining agreement in making sure that the flexibilities were exercised is ultimately what benefited the union membership as well as the broader organization.
So your agency often faces criticism for work conditions and backlogs. My Republican colleagues would like to point the finger at remote work, but would you agree that the larger culprit is a lack of sufficient funding?
I would concur that the principal service delivery challenges that we're facing are chronic understaffing and a lack of budget to do what we need to do to serve the American people.
Would the Republican proposed cut of $183 million to the agency proposed in this year's appropriations bill make the backlog better or worse?
It would make the backlogs worse.
We all want to see our agencies doing their jobs efficiently to better serve the American people, and telework opportunities have only forwarded that goal. In the Department of Commerce response to our committee's request regarding their telework policies, Commerce officials stated that significantly increasing telework increased their agency's productivity. Specifically in 2022, the agency met or exceeded 87% of its key performance indicators, which measure the department's progress towards achieving the 5 goals and 23 objectives. In 2 hearings now, we've heard about the benefits of telework. For the workforce, it attracts individuals regardless of race, location, religion, and can offer opportunities to those with disabilities, live overseas as military spouses, or simply need to be near their family. I'd like to see this committee stop blaming convenient scapegoats for our problems and instead focus on keeping the government funded and operating. I yield back.